I can't help it. I was gonna play my ukulele, but
Wow, Robert.
let's let me embellish in the culture of politics and celebrity status, also irrelevancy. Just leave it at that. This isn't a circus. Circus would have been entertaining and pleasurable, considering you abuse people, but just say people that take themselves way too seriously like Robert De Niro.
Deniro absolutely torched Trump last night at Cannes Film Festival when accepting an award.
Also, it's a Cannes Film Festival. I mean, nothing to do with it's in France, right? Why are you relating? Why are you talking about? Someone's like, why are you talking about the politics of United States of America? I have to sell some tires. This is very awkward. I had nothing to do with this. But anyway, I'm talking about this, but this is urgent. This is important. This might give me a couple of bucks. Should say bucks. Anyway, I said that. Dollars, pesos, dinero, mucho comida en la boca. I don't know. Some cool air so I don't heat myself over the night. Some kitty ass food. Anyway, you need to know what I do myself. Are you interested? It's a commas. I'm like few periods, so I'm reluctant. But whatever, I'm in a hurry, so I forgive you. Google and everybody else. Let's see what Robert has to say, or Bob.
And the reason why he was doing that,
you think that's like not your uncle, like just someone older.
It's just because he feels a need to warn America and the world about the rules that Trump imposes on all of us. And another reason why he's doing this is because reported. And before we get to the speech, I just want to make sure you have this background because Donald Trump.
There's a acro smoke phase.
Suggested somehow that he's going to impose 100% tariff on any and all movies coming into our country. He says the movie industry in America is dying. Not true. Other countries are offering all sorts of incentives to draw our filmmakers and studios away from the United States. Hollywood and many other areas within the USA are being devastated. This is a concerted effort by other nations and therefore a national security threat. It is not a national security threat. The fact that X-Men is being made, and I don't know, Mexico and Canada rather than here. And to me, the bigger national security threat is, Qatar donating a $400 million plane to you that may be bugged, that may be able to spy on the United States. And secondly, is 100% impacting your decision making. Seems like a bigger threat to me than whether or not the next Avengers movie is made here or in London. It's insane. Anyway, in addition to everything else, it's messaging and propaganda. Therefore, I'm authorizing the Department of Commerce, blah, 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 100% tariff on any and all movies coming into our country that are produced in foreign lands. Now, there's one problem. How the hell do you even, how do you implement something like that? Because if I stream a movie that was made in South Korea, do I have to pay for that? It doesn't make how do you add a tariff to movies?
When people really want things, they can get it done. By the way, for some reason you can't get a degeneracy on YouTube or on Google search engine, even Microsoft, Bing search engines. That boggles my mind, but that can be done. It can be done. It takes forethought. A lot of things take forethought.
The question does rattle everyone. It is unclear how tariffs on film industry would work. Trump did not say whether he envisioned applying them to streaming platforms as well as theatrical releases, or whether tariffs would be based on a production cost or box office revenue. Yeah, really nice to not have a president that gives any specifics whatsoever. It's insane. We are ruled by a mad king. It was also not certain whether production split between the U.S. and other countries, such as the James Bond or Mission Impossible films, would be exempt in some fashion. Industry professionals argue tariffs are a blunt instrument that would hinder rather than help Hollywood compete with Australia, Britain, Canada, and elsewhere. Yeah, just like he did with China. There is no plan. I think one thing we all just need to understand that there is no plan. Donald Trump has no plan. With China, with Qatar, he is just making it up as he goes along. 180% tariff, 80% tariff, 30% tariff. Tariff on movies. How are we going to do it? He doesn't know. He's just saying things. He's just saying things. I think the news needs to report that more accurately, that Donald Trump isn't doing anything to help us. And
yeah, I disagree with that. I think he really is. And yeah, it's Donald Trump. I think he's a businessman. That's his background. He's a marketing guru, actually. That's one thing I didn't like about Donald Trump. I still don't, especially his vocabulary. I'm pretty sure. I'm not saying Donald Trump doesn't like things about me. This guy probably doesn't like things about me, about my behavior. Maybe I don't like things about him. It's really not about that. It's really about, keeping this country in tip-top shape. You put as far as putting tariffs, I really, like I said before, why is it so relevant? Huh? Who's gonna really suffer? What about, what things, it's just the middle class, production, there's just one aspect of it. Why do people defend that? Including wage stagnation. Why should be scared? I know it triangulates as to something. I don't care about the stock market. I don't care about fake financial systems. Maybe I'm not par with Donald Trump. I could care less if I made a movie in South Korea, 100% tariff on my movie. If I make my money from movie, what are we talking about? The production industry or the production or the movie, not just the actors, they'll probably suffer a little. Huh? We're talking about actually just not having a lot of money, or is it gonna be is it gonna be an economic trade war? Does it have to resort to that? Does it really have to resort to that? I think a lot of it just from my standpoint is based on logic. I could care less about that, and I could care less about the fucking stock market.
And it's just making things up as he goes along. Here's a couple of insights from industry professionals. To do anything of a protectionist nature will ultimately have devastating effects if other territories around the world put up barriers. It's our produced material and distributed material, even if it is shot anywhere around the world, which generates a great tax revenue base for the U.S. Treasury. Someone else says, as far as we know, it affects streaming services as well. Does that mean that if you watch Parasite, you have to pay twice as much as you would watching a different movie? I don't understand how this is supposed to work. No one does. No one does. But like I said, Robert De Niro really laid it all out here at Cannes. And one thing about Robert De Niro, he knows how to get under Trump's skin.
What? Does he really? Jeez. I guess I really don't like Donald Trump. Nah, I don't like Trump. I can't really take Donald Trump seriously if Robert De Niro gets under his skin. But who am I? Robert De Niro indirectly got under my skin. I was just a bad place in my life. I would think Donald Trump wouldn't care a fuck about Robert De Niro. I saw a couple. It's the New York thing. He was just trying to read it, but he was talking. It was just like so. It was such it was like rhetoric, And the thing I should say, Robert De Niro, and everyone has their opinion. And then because he's an actor, he doesn't have the right to say anything. Listen, Robert De Niro, you presented a word, you want a word, talk about your art and just go away. Unless it's your private time, let me make a YouTube video. Let's say you go on a talk show and someone asks you some questions and then talk about politics. You have the right to your opinion. Alright? You have your fucking word. I don't fucking want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear fucking Leonardo DiCaprio talk about the environment and then fucking when flowers are fucking what he's fucking doing and shit. Or CO2 emissions. Leonardo, you won an Oscar after fucking 30 years, man. Just fucking celebrate it. Go with fucking models over there with your fat ass and shit. Creepy walk down the beach and shit, have sex with like a 30-year-old like she hasn't eaten in a while, right? Fuck off, right? I watch you for the fucking movie content, not for your political fucking ideology. I'll actually talk about like a certain talk show, and I actually want to see how your mind works. Except writing a long speech, practicing for fucking mirror. Fuck off with that shit. How can you take this shit seriously?
And here it is.
In my country, we're fighting like hell for the democracy we once took for granted. And that affects all of us.
First of all, what democracy? Huh? What country? United States of America? The democracy of the United States of America. Since when? White males like Robert De Niro, presumably me, if I was born here. I was born in Poland. If I migrated here, Would I get my citizenship? I could actually vote, have a democratic stance. Black males and females that were around the world. Females, actually, no females weren't allowed to vote since a certain year. There was a women's suffrage. Actually, it was like a revolution if you think about it. Also, there was child labor in the United States of America. What kind of democracy, compassion simply this country demonstrated? Democracy, like we once took for granted. It, I mean, it's like Donald Trump is a diminishing democracy. Really, is what's going on? Yeah, I mean, there's something. I mean, I'm not tribalized. The event of September 11 in New York. I mean, it was about deceptive, the manipulative fucking nation. This is, it's a pandering fucking rhetoric.
Us. That affects all of us here because the arts are democratic. Art is inclusive. It brings people together.
No one's saying that freedom of the press, it should be banished. He's putting tariffs. We're talking about money over here. I mean, he's not talking about democracy, freedom of speech, freedom of arts over here. Robert. We're talking about a money deal that he's putting tariffs. You pertain to what movies, are you defending, the money system. It's not about democracy.
Tonight, art looks for truth. Art embraces diversity. And that's why art is a threat. That's why we are a threat to autocrat.
Oh, please, have you ever been to communist Poland before it became a democratic state? How about Cuba? How about North Korea, the Robert? Why don't you go fucking talk about those people, those countries, huh? Certain other kind of nations. Get the fuck out with your freedom.
And fascists.
Fascist. Wow.
America's Philistine president has had himself appointed head of one of our premier cultural institutions. He has cut funding and support to the arts, humanities, and education.
I like how they say it. Robert Deniro. I'm pretty sure there's something in there, They missed the last T, like cross out the T's, dot the I's. Yeah, actually put a dot in there. All right, we'll give you something there, Robert. It's like, again, it's a political speech over there. It's like I can't do. I mean, it's if I dwell in arts, I don't want to hear a political speech, man. Let's talk about the arts.
And now he has announced a 100% tariff on films produced outside the U.S. Let that sink in for a minute. You can't put a price on creativity, but apparently you can put a tariff on it. Of course, this is unacceptable. All these attacks are unacceptable. And this isn't just an American problem. It's a global one. Unlike a film, we can't just sit back and watch. We have to act, and we have to act now. Without violence, but with great passion and determination. It's time for everyone who cares about liberty to organize, to protest.
I say it like this. I'm not a conservative, liberal, said multiple times. I'm even an independent. I'm not. I'm a registered voter. I'm undecided. On January 6th, I actually believe the election was stolen. Well, the mail-in votes. It's a lot of people. I don't know. Maybe talk about that. It shouldn't happen. That's a direct threat to democracy. And there was a violent attack that happened after that. It was disturbing. It was like George W. Bush actually winning election that was went to Florida actually. It was a recount. It was actually heinous. It was very manipulative system. I mean, it's like we're not talking about liberal, conservative, liberal, because George W. Bush was a conservative. He won. Donald Trump was a conservative, a Republican, and he actually lost. So it's neither of the parties. Who has power and has the right or the people to push certain way. Democracy been waived off the transparency and honesty and integrity been waived off the table in the United States of America. Just get off your democracy fucking talk, man.
And when there are elections, of course, to vote.
I love what Robert De Niro says there, that we have to act, we have to get organized. I have something that you can do personally to help defeat Donald Trump. What's happening, like he did say, the Kennedy Center in D.C. has been taken over by Trump. It's one way that authoritarians and fascists maintain and control power, is by taking control of media. But what's happening is that folks are protesting the Kennedy Center in retaliation. And here's just a few. Their fellow travelers will not be.
They control the media. Isn't the media, have a bias based on political parties and their own viewpoints, just referring to the fact and logical reason a lot of times? Yeah, Billboard writers say no spin zone. Those are spin zone, actually. People spin, the truth, reality, facts are based on their opinion.
Be there. Hamilton is not going to be there. They're supposed to be there. A Pulitzer Prize winning singer was supposed to be there. She canceled. A 2-week run of Eureka Day was supposed to be there. They canceled. Issa Rae, the comedian, was supposed to be there. She canceled. So that's one way we can protest. There's also another way we can protest. I'm not sure if you heard about this. I'm going to start talking about it more and more now. There's going to be a nationwide No Kings protest planned for parade on Trump's birthday. So Donald Trump is holding a military parade, which is so disgusting, on his birthday to celebrate the Army, Kerr, for Flag Day, which happens to be President Donald Trump's birthday. But what is happening is that organizers have decided to create what is called No Kings Day, which will be on the same day with major nationwide protests everywhere but D.C. And so I think this is so important, because the way that we make sure that lawmakers, the courts, and Trump know that we're paying attention is by showing up in huge, huge numbers. So this is one way that you can get involved, the way that Robert De Niro said. So if you want to find your local protest, it is so easy. You can go to nokings.org. That website again is nokings.org, and you can host an event. There's a host toolkit, and you can also find, look at all these different events that have already popped up. You can find a local event. I believe I'm going to go to Pennsylvania. There's one in Philly. There's not going to be one in D.C. because I've talked to the organizer of this, and they are afraid of Donald Trump using this as an excuse to retaliate against civilians, so they don't want to give them an excuse. But I may go to
the No Kings pledge. Kings, like the feudal system. What are we talking about here? 2 terms, or 3 or 4 terms, or unlimited terms? Are we talking about real democracy, transparent democracy? Majority of the public votes for the president. A majority of the public votes for it. That's democracy. That's how it should be. That's the honest democracy. You have all these hurdles, actually. Electoral college is another thing. But let's just be honest. 2 terms? Why only 2 terms? It goes with the previous terms. He had 4 terms. Roosevelt, actually. I think it was. And he spoke about that. Well, if the majority of the public wants the president and works, then that's democracy. Just because, like, the other people, the small majority, actually, the minority, actually, they're not represented. Well, that's that you're not representing. You're not the majority. I mean, it's really that simple. Also, another thing that's a failure with the United States and their democracy, this democracy, every 4 years, anything could be repelled, actually, from the new person. It's beyond chaotic. It's insane, actually. That's why there's no progress. It's not a king, actually. It's not just he'll take the throne, he'll deplete democracy. Maybe Donald Trump is actually doing something right. And then claim him a king because he actually takes power. He actually takes control, actually does something. Does something for actually good in America. And yeah, you shouldn't have anyone come in here whenever the fuck they want. It's not about being spying. What is wrong with you fucking people? What is about you that, let's just get away from that. Well, it's a nation of immigrants. Well, legal immigrants. Those are processed. They came in at both. They got processed. I mean, there's multiple people. At least they got processed. You can't just swarm here millions of you, man. I came here in the process. I spent a year and a half in fucking Spain. Spain, actually, there's nothing wrong with Spain, but I came here in the process. We got screened twice. And you idiots think you just fucking think you fucking do anything you fucking want. You're sociopathic, which you really are. And I'm working on memory. It's my relatives. The thing is, in their nation of Poland, well, Poland doesn't allow that. They're very strict fucking laws. What makes you fucking think you're from Poland? You fucking anything you could do that here, huh? What makes you think you're from Poland? Come over here, work for whatever months and shit, and take advantage of this economy, and take the money in your hand pocket or transfer it to your fucking country in Poland. That's abusing this economy, actually. That creates an unhealthy economy. You're not stupid. You're reckless. And you go to this sensitivity fucking point and shit. And some of you convicted with fucking racism. There's no to fucking Mexico over there. Now it's Venezuela. It's a different fucking racism. Even from Canada. You shouldn't do that stuff. I don't want to go to Mexico and Canada on false pretenses. You should have some fucking liability. There's a reason why nations fucking exist. If you idiot jerk-offs did that shit, everything would be chaotic like it was fucking after Biden. And those migrants weren't treated that fucking nicely. By the way, as far as the wall, extends over here, I really don't like that. But you really don't need that. You have drones with cameras. And then actually, drones. What we're talking about here? Nations like Mexico should be responsible. There's individuals. There's chaotic problem. Coyotes. It's a derogatory term. Maybe they use it for certain people transporting people. There's multiple people walking drones, and they should be deployed. Not just military troops, security guards, or certain kind of individuals that should say go back to across the border. You're not allowed in this nation. Okay, you're doing something very illegal. Actually, if you want something, you should be processed in actually a legal form. That should be done. If the wall exists, I get it. But some people with a dick under it, it's a clause. It could go all around. We have all this technology. We could use. This country could use it. Even north over here, even in the south. Who knows? Maybe over here actually. You gotta respect the fucking borders. This isn't a utopia. You need to just get your fucking head wrapped like it's fucking door. Anyone can do anything. Actually, you can't do that. This is no fucking King's pledge. Donald Trump's not a fucking king, actually. Just you can't stand the fact that some person actually thinks about having a right kind of efficiency, productivity. Actually, you're reckless, you're careless, irresponsible individuals, which you really are.
To the one in Philly, which I believe is going to be the flagship one. But please do go. NoKings.org. We are not being ruled by a king. We are America. We are in control of our elected officials.
And and just so happened, Elon Musk do this little fucking salute. And it's like coincides with Hitler, and so many people just wearing a tirade with fucking Nazism over there.
It's not the other way around. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.
And so many people actually said, it wasn't on, I don't know where it was. We should deport this fucking guy. Deport fucking Elon Musk. He had a citizenship. He's been here longer than I've been, actually. Or maybe 2 years after I've been. We're gonna deport the fucking guy.